Putin's continued influence over grain and gas is yet another troubling signal for the White House. His Iran visit directly followed President Biden's trip last week to Israel and Saudi Arabia and was another indicator that despite international pressure, Russia continues to build a dangerous anti-Western alliance that was on full display Tuesday in Tehran.
It may be nothing more than the fist bump that President Biden did with the Saudi leader last week, but it does look unusually friendly to see these three men in a sort of post-concert victory pose, two of them smiling. Russia and Iran have been friends for many years, with Turkey straddling many sides. But with Ukraine being pummeled, the Russians shutting down shipping lanes for food and fuel, it is disturbing to see this group in any form, not actually knowing much about what they discussed. Erick Stakelbeck has been digging into whatever went on at the meeting today, and he joins us now. Erick?
Doug, ever since launching Russia's invasion of Ukraine back in February, Vladimir Putin has been increasingly isolated on the world stage. But on Tuesday, he received a warm embrace from the world's #1 state sponsor of terrorism, Iran. Putin's visit to Tehran was only his second international trip since the war in Ukraine began, and Iran's leaders rolled out the red carpet for him. One Iranian official called Russia Iran's #1 strategic partner in the world, another sign of the growing bond between these two American adversaries. During his meeting with Putin on Tuesday, Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, pledged his strong support for Russia's invasion of Ukraine. He blamed NATO for the war, claiming the West opposes an independent and strong Russia. While Iran has Russia's back on Ukraine, Russia has returned the favor by supporting Iran in its nuclear standoff with the West. And both nations have helped each other in efforts to evade crippling U.S. sanctions. The main reason for Putin's visit, however, was supposedly to discuss the situation in Syria, and he wasn't alone. Turkish President Recep Erdogan was also in Tehran on Tuesday and held a trilateral meeting with Putin and Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi. All three nations have a military presence in Syria, and they discussed ways to bring fighting there to an end. Turkey borders Syria to the north, and although Turkey is still a NATO member nation, it's pivoted away from the Western alliance under Erdogan's leadership, as it looks to strengthen relations with the likes of Russia and Iran. Erdogan lobbied Putin to loosen Russia's blockade of Ukraine's Black Sea port so that shipments of millions of tons of grain can leave the war-torn country and help ease global food shortages. Ukraine is the world's fourth largest grain exporter and also a major exporter of corn and sunflower oil. Turkey says it will open a Black Sea corridor to help Ukrainian exports get through, but that ultimately depends on what Russia is willing to allow. On Tuesday, Putin thanked Erdogan for his mediation efforts on Ukrainian grain, but said all issues about Ukrainian grain exports out of Black Sea ports have not yet been resolved. Putin was also non-committal about how much Russian natural gas would resume flowing to Europe after the Nord Stream 1 pipeline reopens. Russia shut down the pipeline on July 11th for annual maintenance, and while the repairs are scheduled to be completed tomorrow, Putin hinted that the pipeline will not operate at full capacity once it's back online. Europe has relied heavily on Russia for natural gas and fears that Putin will cut supplies as revenge for European opposition to the Ukraine invasion. Putin's continued influence over grain and gas is yet another troubling signal for the White House. His Iran visit directly followed President Biden's trip last week to Israel and Saudi Arabia and was another indicator that despite international pressure, Russia continues to build a dangerous anti-Western alliance that was on full display Tuesday in Tehran. Doug?
Erick, this is fascinating, the meeting of these three people, and it's hard not to perceive of it, at least on our side of the view, as being just a thumb in the eye of President Biden.
Yeah, Doug, I think great point. No coincidence, obviously, the timing of this meeting between these three regimes, and very interesting that Vladimir Putin, again, as much as U.S. sanctions have been biting against his regime, he still projects power, Doug, on the world stage. Look, the Iranians literally rolled out the red carpet yesterday for Vladimir Putin. So he's got the Iran alliance and also China. North Korea, even India have been helping Putin withstand sanctions from the West. So he's still very much in a strong position on the world stage.
And one of the weird things is that Turkey is a member of NATO, and it has strategic air bases that the U.S. presently uses. So you could see how Putin would want to lure Turkey back into his fold.
Sure. Under Recep Erdogan, I call Turkey Nino, Doug. NATO in name only. He's taken Turkey in a radical direction, increasingly aligned with the likes of Russia and Iran against the West.
Fascinating, Eric. Thanks very much for that. Very enlightening. Hi, I'm Doug McKelway, and thank you for watching Centerpoint. We hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. Leave a comment below and keep the conversation going by sharing this video with a friend who needs to see it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.